Hi, everybody. So happy you could join. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in so long. I was having computer issues. I figured it out, though. It was my power adapter. That's all it was. I'm glad I didn't have to replace my entire computer, or the battery at least. How is everybody doing? Are you guys ready to get into some conspiracies? Get tinfoily? I've been informed that I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Amit, CD, you two, you really got in my head a little bit. It's messed up. Now I feel like I'm the crazy strings guy that's putting tinfoil on his head and saying weird things, but I already am that guy. And you know what? I'm going to embrace it. I am a conspiracy theorist, and I'm proud to say it. You know what? We're right, and we've been right this whole time. So call me what you want, people. Conspiracy theorists are prophets now. So you guys can bite me, all right? And you know what? Cheese pizza. Remember Pizzagate? Coming full circle today on Instagram, isn't it? Yeah. Call us whatever you want. What we say will end up being proven correct. Just like the lab leak, the vaccines, all of it. Pizzagate. They're talking about cheese pizza again, guys. They're talking about cheese pizza and toppings and things. If you don't know, well, cheese pizza starts with C and P. What else starts with C and P? We'll get into it. We'll get into all of it, folks. But if you haven't already, please go down and give that like button a tap. It helps the algorithm. I don't know if it does help the algorithm on Rumble. I would assume it does, but it really helps me, my own personal sanity, when you guys go and hit that like button. When I go to the end of the episode and I see a lot of likes, it really makes me feel better about myself. It makes me feel like I'm doing something with my life. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could all go down there and give that like button a gentle tap. That's all you need to do. If you'd like to share it with a friend, share the show with a friend, share it on Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, whatever your platform is. Any way you could share it would be helpful to the show. All right. Well, we have a ton of crap to get into, and Tucker's back. Did his first episode on Twitter. It was only 10 minutes, but I imagine that's close to the length of show he had on Fox. His show an hour or half hour. It was an hour, right? So I would imagine that needs to be like 40 minutes of airtime with commercials. His show is only 10 minutes, but good old the Vigilant Fox over here on Twitter took a little clip out, and I'm going to play that for you guys because Tucker got a little tinfoil-y, way more than he did on Fox News, and it makes me happy because he just immediately jumped right into it, and CNN and MSNBC and all of them just went crazy about it. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's listen to Tucker talk a little bit on his first episode here because, man, he did not hold back. So let's listen to a couple of minutes. This is put together by Vigilant Fox here. Well, I'll read his tweet first. So, bombshell, Tucker Carlson drops the story of a millennium. UFOs are actually real. And apparently, so is extraterrestrial life. So, it's so funny that you've barely been hearing about that in the news. And, well, the government's saying that aliens are real and UFOs and stuff. And it's barely cracking headlines. So, it sort of tells you about the state of the world today. A former Air Force officer who worked for years in the military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government has physical evidence of a crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. Okay, the Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapon systems, reported Carlson. He concluded, okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed. And it was very clear that he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this would qualify as a bombshell, the story of a millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. It's true. How can this not be such huge news? Why does it also come out at the exact same time where the FBI whistleblower says if he is named, if that whistleblower is made known, he will be killed? The Biden whistleblower that says he has info on Biden getting, or proof that Biden got $5 million in foreign payments from someone while he was a vice president. So that came out the same day as this crap came out. Anyway, let's listen to Tucker talk about it. Sorry, I had a lot of Red Bull.
The media lie. They do. But mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of US dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No clue.
What up, Wally World?
Who organized those BLM riots 3 years ago? No one's gotten to the bottom of that. What exactly happened on 9/11? Well, it's still classified. How did Jeffrey Epstein make all that money? How did he die? How about JFK? And so endlessly on. Not only...
I really like the new Tucker. Like, this never would have flown on Fox News. And look at his background. You guys notice the black background is just... it actually does look like this is tongue and groove wood, but it almost just looks like plywood up on the wall. He's got his pool cues over here, but you can see it's open to a window here. This is clearly not his old studio. Why? Because Fox News came and ripped out his old studio, his home studio. I guess Fox News put that studio in his house, and they went and they ripped it out. That's why it's taken them so long to get back on the air and do an episode, because Fox News tried to take their studio back, or decided to take their studio back. They are such pricks. I can't wait until the dirt comes out about what all this was about. Apparently, what's his face? The guy that owns Fox News, I can't remember his name right now. His wife was just absolutely smitten with Tucker, and he gave some speech that invoked God during his I don't know, something that pissed off the Fox News owner, and that's what all this stuff's about, apparently. Anyway.
Not only are the media not interested in any of this, they are actively hostile to anybody who is. In journalism, curiosity is the gravest crime. Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the US government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening. A small group of people control access to all relevant information, and the rest of us don't know. We're allowed to yap all we want about racism, but go ahead and talk about something that really matters and see what happens. If you keep it up, they'll make you be quiet. Trust us. That's how they maintain control.
Oh, he's so right about the monopoly on information, isn't he? Those of us that follow like alternate media and, you know, have been following alternate media for the last 10 years or even 5 years or even just a couple of years are so much more informed than people that just watch the news. Like people that just watch the news have no clue that certain things even happened. And it's really crazy the level of knowledge that some people have compared to other people, and the people that are really low information people are usually the ones that hold the strongest opinions about things, and they're also the ones that are usually the most adamant about refusing conflicting information to what they already believe. So it's just funny. I don't know how that happens. I don't know what the psychology behind that is, but It's definitely something. There's definitely a thing that occurs to people. It's like a cognitive dissonance thing. Like the COVID and the vaccine stuff, like the people that were so adamant about the vaccine, they were so excited to get it. And, they made videos about it, and now they're protected and all this and that. The people that fully bought it, the people that started treating others horribly, they didn't want to get it. Imagine being one of those people, and like slowly around you, it's coming out that all the stuff you believed was wrong. Would you want to look at that information? I wouldn't. I mean, as a defense mechanism, my mind would be keeping me from looking at that information. Well, all of our minds do, right? It's like that's our cognitive dissonance thing. People are in for a very rude awakening, and it's people are going to have like a reality shattering moment coming up very soon. Many people are going to have a reality shattering moment where literally everything they believe is false. Like everything they've been told is a lie. It's amazing that there's groups of people that are living in two separate realities, and they might be neighbors that live right next door to each other. It's amazing. In fact, I know one of my neighbors lives in a separate reality. Anyway, enough about Tucker. You guys hear about all the cheese pizza on Instagram? If you're wondering what I mean by cheese pizza, there was a thing called Pizzagate back in the day. WikiLeaks, John Podesta, emails, cryptic messages, coded language, all sorts of crap like that. And now all this coded language is popping back up on Instagram. So let me see, which article do I want to go to first? I think, you know what? Yeah, let's go to I want to go to the Zero Hedge article. I'm probably going to end up reading this whole thing. And I'm going to close this other article because I don't think I'm going to have time to get into it. Actually, no, I am going to go to the Wall Street Journal article because they're the ones that broke the story. So, yeah, let's read an article. So, the Wall Street Journal broke this story today. It is behind a paywall, but Jack Posobiec was so nice as to share a link to the archived article so I don't have to pay. So that's very nice. So we can read the archived article. Nice. All right. Okay. So this is from Jeff Horowitz and Catherine Blunt at the Wall Street Journal. And the title of this article is Instagram Connects Vast Pedophile Network. The meta unit system for fostering communities have guided users to child sex content. Company says it is improving internal controls. Oh. So, any of you guys ever go to the Instagram tab, the search tab, where you can just kind of like scroll through just like whatever it suggests for you? Those suggestions are getting more and more sexual as time goes on. Like I don't know about you guys. This is gross. This is kind of gross. I can sit there and watch those pimple popping videos for hours. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with those pimple popping videos. Yeah, I know. It's gross. I can't look away. I'm obsessed with them. So my Instagram feed, all it is like pimple popping videos, skateboarding, and chicks in swimsuits. Swimsuits, not bikinis, swimsuits. Because I follow a lot of triathletes and I'm a runner and stuff like that. But it's always hot chicks in swimsuits. And then that morphed into like chicks in track outfits. And now what's popping up on my suggested feed on Instagram is shit that I don't want to see. Very young girls in swimsuits, gymnastics outfits that should not be taking these pictures. These girls are way too young to be taking these pictures. They probably don't even realize what they're taking. They're young girls taking pictures in swimsuits or gymnastics outfits, and the photographers telling them what to do. This is such predatory behavior. It's insane. And this is the stuff that's legal. So all I've done is read the first paragraph. So actually, I haven't even read the first paragraph. Let's get into this article. This is probably a pretty long article. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of reading to do. I'm just going to try to read the article without injecting my stupid opinions. All right. Instagram, the popular social media site owned by Meta Platforms, helps connect and promote vast networks of accounts openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content, according to the investigators by the Wall Street Journal and researchers at Stanford University and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Pedophiles has long used the internet, but unlike the forums and file transfer services that cater to people who have interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities, its algorithms promote them. Instagram connects pedophiles and guides them to content sellers via recommended systems that excel at linking those who share niche interests, and journal and academic researchers found. This stuff triggers me so much. I get filled with rage when I hear this crap. Though out of sight for most of the platform, the sexualized accounts on Instagram are brazen about their interests. The researchers found that Instagram enabled people to search explicit hashtags such as pedo whore and preteen sex, and connected them to accounts that used the terms to advertise child sex material for sale. Such accounts often claim to be run by children themselves and use overtly sexual handles incorporating words such as little slut for you. Oh, God, Instagram's got a lot of explaining to do. Elon came into Twitter. Elon bought Twitter and immediately corrected this problem. Immediately. I would love to interview Elon, not even to like fanboy out. I want to interview Elon and ask him, what did you do? What did it look like when you came in? What was the situation? Why was this stuff allowed to run rampant? And what moves did you make? What were the little things that you did? What was the first thing that you did to get rid of all this crap? Because I would imagine this stuff's rampant on Facebook and other platforms as well, especially if it's, Instagram, Meta, Zuckerberg, these. I've signed NDAs, so I can't say where I've worked, but let me just say I've glimpsed inside the personal lives of some of these people. We can't wrap our brains around the amount of money that they have and what that money gets them access to. Let's continue reading the article. The promotion of underage sex content violates rules established by Meta as well as federal law. Oh, you don't say. In response to questions from the journal, Meta acknowledged problems within its enforcement operations and said it has set up an internal task force to address the issues raised. An internal task force, huh? Yeah, a bunch of pedos that already work at your company. Child exploitation is a horrific crime, the company said, adding, we're continuously investigating ways to actively defend against this behavior. And at the same time, the term MAPS, minor attracted persons, is being thrown around on your platform. Yeah, they're actually trying to normalize that term. Pedophiles. They are pedophiles. If you're attracted to a minor, you're a pedophile. Just be clear on that. Meta said it is. Meta said it has in the past 2 years taken down 27 pedophile networks and is planning more removals. Since receiving the journal queries, the platform said it has blocked thousands of hashtags that sexualize children, some with millions of posts, and restricted its systems from recommending users search for terms known to be associated with sex abuse. It said it is also working on preventing its systems from recommending that potentially pedophilic adults connect. Let me start that sentence over. It said it is also working on preventing its systems from recommending that potentially pedophilic adults connect with one another or interact with one another's content. That was a very wordy sentence there. I feel like it could have been worded a little better. Tripped me up a bit. Sorry. Alex Stamos, the head of Stanford Internet Observatory and Meta's chief security officer until 2008, said that getting even obvious abuse under control would likely take a sustained effort. Okay? You guys are like one of the most rich companies on the planet. Put forth a sustained effort. What's the problem? Hire me. I would be happy to be dedicated to going after these clowns all day, 24/7. Train me. Tell me what I need to do. Hire me. I need a job. Hire me, Meta, you freaking jerks. Oh, yeah, they probably wouldn't do that. That a team of 3 academics with limited access could find such a huge network should set off alarms at Meta, he said, noting that the company has far more effective tools to map its pedophile network than outsiders do. I hope the company reinvests in human investigators, he added. Well, it seems to me that you can't run this company and not be aware, at least a little bit aware, of this problem. And it seems to me that they were doing next to nothing to address it. And when does being ignorant to the facts become being complicit, become being an active participant in this crime? Like, those are the 3 levels, right? Being ignorant to it, not being aware that it's happening, being aware of it and turning a blind eye, so in turn being complicit. And then there's actively being a part of it, being like, hey, I work for Meta. I'm aware of these hashtags. In fact, let's promote these hashtags. Let's boost these hashtags. So what of those 3 tiers do your Meta employees stand under? Tactical and legal hurdles make determining the full scale of the network hard for anyone outside Meta to measure precisely. Because the laws around child sex content are extremely broad, investigating even the open promotion of it on a public platform is legally sensitive. I'll go undercover and crack some knees. I have no problem breaking individual fingers. I have very little problem with violence when it comes to these people. So just kind of throwing it out there. Allegedly. Of course, I've never heard anyone. In its reporting, the journal consulted that academic experts on online child safety, Stanford's Internet Observatory, a division of the university's Cyber Policy Center focused on social media abuse, produced an independent quantitative analysis of the Instagram features that helps users connect and find content. The journal also approached the UMass Rescue Lab, which evaluated how pedophiles on Instagram fit into larger ecosystems of online child exploitation. Using different methods, both entities were able to quickly identify large-scale communities promoting criminal sex abuse. Quickly identify. Like, this seems like they're implementing very rudimentary techniques, and they are finding tons of crap. Imagine if they actually tried to get the child porn off of this website. Why is this such a common theme in the tech industry? That child porn is rampant. It was rampant on Twitter, and now it's rampant on Instagram. As soon as Elon gets over there, it's no longer a problem on Twitter. You know what the difference between Twitter and Instagram is, too? You can have full-on porn on Twitter. Full-on penetration on Twitter. You can't have porn on Instagram. But somehow, child porn and pedophilia is more of a rampant problem on Instagram than it is on Twitter, the platform that allows porn. Find that a little strange. Seems like it would be easier to rid your platform of child porn and child trafficking when you have a platform that doesn't allow nudity in the first place. All right. I don't know. Hey, Zuckerberg, why don't you hit up Elon and ask him what he did? And roll with me. I saw that you started doing jiu-jitsu. I would love to spar with you. Underage sex content creators and buyers are just a corner of a larger ecosystem devoted to sexual child content. Other accounts in the pedophile community on Instagram aggregate pro-pedophilia memes or discuss their access to children. Current and former Meta employees who have worked on Instagram child safety initiatives estimate the number of accounts that exist primarily to follow such content is in the high hundreds of thousands, if not millions, accounts that are created just for this. Oh, I'm getting angry. A Meta spokesperson said the company actively seeks to remove such users, taking down 490,000 accounts for violating its safety policies in January alone. Instagram is on a ramp to places on the internet where there's more explicit child sexual abuse, said Brian Levine, director of UMass Rescue Lab, which researches online child victimization and builds forensic tools to combat it. Levine is the author of the 2022 report for the National Institute of Justice, the Justice's Department research arm on internet child exploitation. Instagram, estimated to have more than 1.3 billion users, is especially popular with teens. The Stanford researcher found some similarly sexual exploitative activity on other smaller social platforms, but said they found that the problem on Instagram is particularly severe. The most important platform for these networks of buyers and sellers seems to be Instagram, they wrote in a report slated for the release on June 7th. So this isn't just like the distribution of child porn on the internet. They are buying and selling children, a sex slave trade. All this stuff that was called a conspiracy for years, we're gonna pretend that Epstein didn't happen. Are we gonna pretend that Larry Nassar with USA Gymnastics didn't happen? Are we gonna pretend that Sandusky didn't happen? These are huge, immensely powerful people with access to children and huge sums of money. There's sick shit going on. Yeah, I'm getting tinfoily. Yeah, I think there's a huge conspiracy of elite people in the world with child sex trafficking rings. And this shouldn't be a conspiracy theory anymore. This should be openly talked about, and everyone should be losing their minds over it. But nobody seems to care. Again, the cognitive dissonance crap. All right, we're almost done with this article. Instagram said that its internal statistics show that users see child exploitation in less than 1 in 10,000 posts viewed. Okay. The effort by social media platforms and law enforcement to the all right, let me go back to that. One in less than 10,000 posts viewed. Okay. How many posts does a person view a day on Instagram? So let's say it takes somebody 5 days to get through 10,000 posts. You know, they're scrolling through their phone. So that means once a week, everybody is exposed to some sort of child exploitation. 1 in 10,000 posts is not a lot. That's not a lot of posts. The effort by social media platforms and law enforcement to fight the spread of child pornography online centers largely on hunting for confirmed images and videos, known as child sexual abuse material, or CSAM, which already are known to be in circulation. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, the U.S. nonprofit organization that works with law enforcement, maintains a database of digital fingerprints for such images and videos and a platform for sharing such data among internet companies. Okay, so if I'm reading that correctly, it sounds like they're basically only going after the images that they're already aware of. When new sick images are created every single day, I want to know how they are actually looking for these people. How do they actually, what is the system in place? What mechanisms are in place to go after the sellers, the buyers, the distributors of the child pornography? What systems are in place? That's what I want to know. Internet company algorithms check the digital fingerprints of images posted on their platforms against that list. The report back to the center and report back to the center when they detect them. As U.S. federal law requires, in 2022, the center received 31.9 million reports of child pornography, most from internet companies, up 47% from 2 years earlier. That's interesting. Huh. I wonder if that has anything to do with so many more people being home now and not at work on their computer. Now they're at home on their computer. Up 47%. That's madness. That's freaking madness. Meta, with more than 3 billion users across its apps, which include Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, is able to detect these types of unknown images if they aren't encrypted. Meta accounts for 85% of child pornography reports filed to the center. That's crazy. So that's not just Facebook. That's not just Instagram. That's Instagram, Facebook, and what's that other app? WhatsApp. Hi, Chiva. What do you want? Hi. Sorry, my dog came to see me. She's old. I have to give her scritches whenever she wants them. Sorry. She's like 15 now. She doesn't have much time left. All right. That's it. Meta's automated screening for existing child exploitation content can't detect new images or efforts to advertise their sale. Okay, that's what I was getting at. Preventing and detecting such activities requires not just reviewing user reports, but tracking and disrupting pedophile networks, say current and former staffers, as well as Stanford researchers. The goal is to make it difficult for such users to connect with each other, find content, and recruit victims. Oh, God, this shit is sick. Such work is vital because law enforcement agencies lack the resources to investigate more than a tiny fraction of the tips NCMEC receives, said Levine of UMass. That means that the platforms have primarily responsible. I'm sorry. That means the platforms have primary responsibility to prevent a community from forming and normalizing child sexual abuse. Meta has struggled with these efforts more than other platforms, both because of weak enforcement and design features that promote content discovery of legal as well as illicit materials, Stanford found. All right, this is starting to look more deliberate on Meta's part to me. The Stanford team found 128 accounts offering to sell child sex abuse material on Twitter, less than a third the number they found on Instagram, which has a far larger overall use base than Twitter. Twitter didn't recommend such accounts to the same degree as Instagram, and it took them down far more quickly, the team found. I'm sorry, guys. Chica, go. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Good girl. Among other platforms popular with young people, Snapchat is used mainly for its direct messaging, so it doesn't help create networks, and TikTok's platform is where this type of content does not appear to proliferate, the Stanford report said. Okay, so they're looking for platforms that are creating communities of pedophiles. Twitter didn't respond to requests for comment. TikTok and Snapchat declined to comment. That's interesting. David Thiel, chief technologist at Stanford Internet Observatory, said Instagram's problem comes down to content discovery features, the ways topics are recommended, and how much the platform relies on search and links between accounts. Thiel, who previously worked at Meta on security and safety issues, added, "You have to put up guardrails in place for something that growth intensive." I'm sorry. You have to put guardrails in place for something that growth intensive to still be nominally safe, and Instagram hasn't. I don't really get what you said there. The platform has struggled to oversee a basic technology, keywords. Hashtags are a central part of content discovery on Instagram, allowing users to tag and find posts of interest to a particular community from broad topics such as fashion or NBA, narrow, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. I use hashtags on Instagram all the time when it comes to running. Oh, man, this article's long. All right, I'm going to try to get through it. Pedophiles have their chosen hashtags too. Such terms as pedobait and variations on MNSFW, minor not safe for work, had been used to tag thousands of posts dedicated to advertising sex content featuring children, rendering them easily findable by buyers, the academic research found. Following queries from the journal, Meta said that it is in the process of banning such terms. You're in the process? Seems like you could do this relatively easily. Ban the term. In many cases, Instagram has permitted users to search for terms that its own algorithms know may be associated with illegal material. In such cases, a pop-up screen for users warned that the results may contain images of child sexual abuse and noted that the production and consumption of such materials causes extreme harm to children. The screen offered two options for users: get resources and see results anyway. The response to questions from the journal, Instagram removed the option for users to view search results for terms likely to produce illegal images. The company declined to say why it had offered the option. Those shady freaking bastards. The pedophilic accounts on Instagram mix brazenness with superficial efforts to veil their activity, researchers found. Certain emojis function as a kind of code, such as an image of a map, shorthand for minor attracted persons, or one of cheese pizza, which shares its initials with child pornography, according to Levine of UMass. Where have we seen this before, folks? Freaking John Podesta, where are you at, bro? I know you're on Instagram. Accounts identify themselves as seller or seller, in parentheses with a 3 instead of the E. And many state their preferred form of payment in their bios. These seller accounts often convey the child's purported age by saying they are on chapter 14 or age 31, followed by an emoji of a reverse arrow. Some of the accounts, some users claiming to sell self-produced sex content say they are faceless, offering images only from the neck down because of past experiences in which customers have stalked or blackmailed them. Others take the risk, charging a premium for images and videos that could reveal their identity by not showing their face. Many of the accounts show users with cutting scars on the inside of their arms or thighs, and a number of them cite past sexual abuse. Even glancing contact with an account in Instagram pedophile community can trigger the platform to begin recommending that users join it. This is freaking sick. I feel like there's people, underage kids, that are actually posting their own stuff, and they're like trying to ask for help in a coded way and hoping somebody will get the message. I'm sorry, guys. Nothing hurts me more than this. Nothing upsets me more than this. Sarah Adams, a Canadian mother of 2, has built an Instagram audience discussing child exploitation and the dangers of oversharing on social media. Given her focus, Adams' followers sometimes send her disturbing things they've encountered on the platform. In February, she said one messaged her with an account branded with the term incest toddlers. That's another thing, you guys. I see a lot of you guys, a lot of my friends that are moms that have adorable kids. And of course, you'd want to show the world how adorable your kids are. If I ever have a woman that's willing to put up with me enough to put a baby in her, pictures of my kids are not going on social media. Any platform whatsoever. None. No pictures. Sorry. Almost done here. A Meta spokesperson said that incest toddlers violates its rules and that Instagram had erred on enforcement. The company said it plans to address such inappropriate recommendations as part of its newly formed Child Safety Task Force. Keep in mind, you guys, leading up to the 2020 election, if you shared the Hunter Biden laptop story from the New York Post, the oldest newspaper in the United States, if you shared that on Instagram, if you direct messaged it to somebody, your account would get nuked, or they would censor that information. They wouldn't allow you to send it. At the same time, they were making the distribution of child porn and the facilitation of child sex slaves easy. They were making that easy at the same time that you couldn't share a real and true article because the CIA said not to. As with most social media platforms, the core of Instagram's recommendations are based on behavior patterns, not by matching a user's interest to specific subjects. This approach is efficient in increasing the relevance of recommendation, and it works most reliably for communities that share a narrow set of interests. In theory, this same tightness of the pedophile community on Instagram should make it easier for Instagram to map out the network and take steps to combat it. Documents previously reviewed by the Journal show that Meta has done this sort of work in the past to suppress account networks it deemed harmful, such as with accounts promoting election delegitimization in the U.S. after January 6th Capitol riot. Like other platforms, Instagram said it enlists its users to help detect accounts that are breaking rules, but those efforts haven't always been effective. Sometimes users report the nudity. Sometimes user reports of nudity involving a child went unanswered for months. Okay, so this is deliberate. This is freaking deliberate. I think the people running Instagram are pedophiles. The people that are making these decisions based purely on these actions. How easy it was to suppress whatever they wanted on the right and how much they suppressed it and how much code they dedicated to suppressing that and how much code they dedicated to suppressing child porn. Virtually none. Wake up, people! They are promoting pedophilia and suppressing true information. Our world is run by elite pedophiles, you guys. Tell me I'm wrong! Oh, sometimes user reports. Okay, I read that. Earlier this month, an anti-pedophile activist discovered on an Instagram. Earlier this year, an anti-pedophile activist discovered an Instagram account claiming to belong to a girl selling underage sex content, including a post declaring, "This teen is ready for you pervs." When the activist reported the account, Instagram responded with an automated message saying, "Because of the high volume of reports we receive, our team hasn't been able to review this post." After the same activist reported another post, this one of a scantily clad young girl with a graphically sexual caption, Instagram responded, "Our review team has found that the account's post does not go against our community guidelines." The response suggested that the user hide the account to avoid seeing its content. These sick bastards. A Meta spokesperson acknowledged that Meta had received the reports and failed to act on them. A review of how the company handled the reports of child sex abuse found that a software glitch was preventing a substantial portion of users' reports from being processed. A glitch, guys. It was a software glitch. I'm sure. Why wasn't there any software glitches around the elections? And that of the company's moderation staff wasn't properly enforcing the platform's rules, the spokesperson said. Oh, yeah, that little tidbit should be probably the leading part of that sentence. The company said it has since fixed the bug in its reporting system and is providing new training to its content moderators. I encourage all you guys to test if they fix this problem. Actually, no, don't do that. You're going to end up seeing some crap you don't want to see. Even when Instagram does take down accounts selling underage sex content, they don't always stay gone. Under the platform's internal guidelines, penalties for violating its community standards are generally levied on accounts, not users or devices. Because Instagram allows users to run multiple linked accounts, the system makes it easy to evade meaningful enforcement. Users regularly list the handles of backup accounts or their bios, allowing them to simply resume posting the same set of followers if Instagram removes them. In some instances, Instagram recommendations simply directly undercut efforts by its own safety staff. After the company decided to crack down on links from a specific encrypted file transfer service notorious for transmitting child sex content, Instagram blocked searches for its name. Instagram AI-driven hashtag suggestions didn't get the message. Despite refusing to show results for the service's name, the platform's autofill features recommended the users try variations on the on the name with the words boys and CP added to the end. Instagram recommended that. Oh my God. It just keeps getting worse. The company tried to disable those hashtags amid its response to the queries by the journal, but within a few days, Instagram was again recommended new variations of the service's name that also led accounts to selling purported underage sex content. Following the company's initial sweep for accounts brought to its attention by Stanford and the Journal, UMass's Levine checked in on some of the remaining underage seller accounts on Instagram. As before, viewing even one of them led Instagram to recommend new ones. Instagram's suggestions were helping to rebuild the network that the platform's own safety staff was in the middle of trying to dismantle. Oh my God. A Meta spokesperson said its systems to prevent such recommendations are currently being built. Levine called Instagram's role in promoting pedophilic content and accounts unacceptable. Pull the emergency brake, he said. Are there economic benefits worth harms to these children? Write to Jeff Horowitz at jeffhorowitz@thewallstreetjournal.com and Catherine Blunt at catherineblunt@wallstreetjournal.com. That's Catherine.blunt@wallstreetjournal.com. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So Levine called Instagram's role in promoting pedophilic content and accounts unacceptable. I could think of another word instead of unacceptable. I would say deliberate. Much like all of the things that seem to be going wrong in this country, the moves that are made that consistently seem to be the wrong moves, the exact wrong moves to make that will undercut the foundations of everything that holds up our society, all of those moves that are consistently made that are always the exact opposite thing of what needs to be done, at a certain point you have to ask if that's deliberate. You can't just accidentally get it wrong every single time in a row. It's statistically impossible. So much like that, all of these coincidences, software glitches that just keep rebuilding these pedophile communities, the shit's deliberate. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Zuckerberg. I'm saying that you're running a company that is actively promoting child pedophilia. I don't think I needed to say child there. I think the child part is implied with pedophilia. All right. So that's that. Instagram is not only allowing the distribution of child porn, not necessarily on their platform, but setting up these communities, but they're also setting up communities where people can buy and sell both child porn and, it appears, actual human beings. So that's happening. Okay. Unplug the servers. Shut it down. Just shut it down. Overnight. Unplug it. I have so much stuff on Instagram. I think it's 5 years now, 4 or 5 years that I've been just documenting my life on Instagram. And I used to be so into it because I was really trying to build this thing with running, trying to motivate people to lead a healthier lifestyle. And all that changed when COVID happened and everybody tried to force me to take a vaccine. And then everybody decided that they hated me and didn't want to allow me at their houses and that kind of crap. My gear sort of changed and I don't use Instagram so much anymore. But every time I go back on there, it seems worse in this regard. It seems like it's like, why are you promoting these pictures to me? I don't want to see this freaking crap. It's the stuff Instagram promotes is sick. It's freaking sick. I think, and the only reason I don't want to delete my Instagram account like I did my Facebook account years ago is because I have so much freaking stuff on there. Santa Cruz Mountain Goat, follow me on Instagram. It sucks. I have a lot of, I don't do any political crap on Instagram either, except for my Instagram story. I put all the memes that I steal from you guys on my Instagram story, but that disappears in an hour or in 24 hours. So all of my posts are just running and my dogs and my cars and stuff like that. And that's why I don't want to delete it. It sucks. All right. Enough with child porn and Instagram. How are we on time? I guess we're not too bad. Not too bad. Did you guys, so aliens. I guess there's aliens. So let's go to these two stories. Let's go to this Schellenberger thread that he put together. I'll just go through the whole thing. I think he's the one that broke the story for the most part. Michael Schellenberger, if you guys don't follow him on Twitter, you should. He ran for governor of California against Newsom in this last election, got trounced, but yeah, he's also one of the, if you're not already aware, he's one of the journalists that Elon allowed to go through the Twitter files. So Schellenberger, Bay Area dude, San Francisco dude, very cool dude. I would love to meet him someday. But he put together this thread about the, UFOs. So let's go from the beginning. U.S. Air Force veteran says U.S. government retrieved an alien spacecraft and hid it. There's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. public. What's weird to me, so I said earlier that the story came out the same day that the whistleblower from the FBI, if they expose who it is, he'll be dead, he'll be killed. So it seems like every time there's something that the man doesn't want us talking about, they come out with this UFO story. The thing is, the mainstream outlets aren't covering it too much. So it's like, what's really going on here? So he's got a few articles linked here, but I'm going to read his thread because I don't want to go into the article. The Mirror, it's going to be a long one. The materials included intact and particularly intact vehicles. In his statements cleared for publication by the Pentagon in April, Grush, G-R-U-S-H, I'm just going to call him Grush, asserted that UFO legacy programs have long been concealed within multiple agencies nesting UAP activities. That's, what is that? Unmanned aerial. What's the P stand for? Unmanned aerial penises? I don't know. Unmanned aerial penises. Activity in conventional secret access programs without appropriate reporting to various oversight authorities. Okay. Grish's investigative was centered on extensive interviews with high-level intelligence officers, some of whom are directly involved with the program. He says the operation was illegally shielded from proper congressional oversight and that he was targeted and harassed because of his investigation. I hate the show more thing. Why? That's annoying. He did it on every tweet. He did the show more thing on every tweet. Damn it. Individuals on these UAP programs approached me in my official capacity and disclosed their concerns regarding a multitude of wrongdoing, such as illegal contracting against the federal acquisition regulations and other criminality and the suppression of information across a show more. Where'd it come? I lost my place. I'm sorry. Multiple wrongdoings, federal acquisitions, regulations, and criminality and suppression of information across a qualified industrial base and academia, he stated. Grush suffered months of retaliation and reprisals related to the disclosures beginning in 2021. He asked that details of these reprisals be withheld to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigations. You know what, guys? I just realized something. I am not checking the chat. I forgot to even pull up the chat. Let's see. Any of you guys even watching over there on Rumble? Let's see. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Pete Grabber, Terry Wallace, how are y'all doing? I need to pop the chat out here. Oh, I'm sorry. I should be talking to you guys. You guys really are the best. And I'm such a jerk because I forgot. All right. Let me bring this over here. Pete Grabber, Terry Wallace, how you doing? Wally World, you're the man. Let's see. Actually, yeah. Truth hurts. Do I think the vaccine would have changed their minds? Changed their minds on what? Oh, you think the vaccine would have changed their minds? Well, that's the thing. They still think the vaccine works. The Democrats seem to endorse this behavior. You're probably talking about the child crap. Because, yes, I tend to agree. Truth hurts. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. All right, back to the article. Sorry, I keep forgetting to check on the chat. I'm not going to read that one either. The Pentagon UFO office says it doesn't know about the crashed craft, but whistleblower says the office might not have known about it, and the DoD hasn't attempted to discredit him. Okay. I guess this is the DoD response right here. This is the Pentagon response. To date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigations wherever it leads. AARO, working with Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process for individuals to come forward with information to aid AARO in its congressionally mandated historical review. And it continues, AARO's historical review of records and testimonies is ongoing and due to Congress by June 2024, so a year.
AARO welcomes the opportunity to speak with any former or current government employee or contractor who believes they have information relevant to this historical review.
So June of 2024. So this year, this time next year, right before the next election, when things are going to be out of control, because people are going to be losing their minds this time next year, especially if it's like Trump Biden again. Even though I don't think Biden's going to be in there, I think RFK Jr. is a problem for the Dems. I'm just saying. I think RFK Jr. is a problem for the Dems, but we'll get into that a little bit later. All right, that's it. They're coming out and saying there's UFOs. This whistleblower, and I always think it's funny when they call them a whistleblower when they're not anonymous, or they're like a long time ago, Facebook said they had a whistleblower, and then she came out and Facebook's like, yeah, she works for us, and she still works for. It's like, you're not a whistleblower. You're just, I don't know. This seems a little suspect to me. This whole thing. The timing seems strange, but I don't know. There's all the Tic Tac video stuff. The who was that pilot? The Air Force guy, like a really high-ranking Air Force guy that was clearly describing what he saw, and I don't know, folks. That Elon Musk seems convinced that it's mathematically impossible that there is aliens, while Lex Friedman at the same time thinks it's mathematically impossible. And both of those people are about 1,000 times as smart as me. So I have no freaking clue what to believe. I don't know if there's aliens. I know I want to believe. I'm like Fox Mulder. I want to believe. I really do. But I don't believe anything anymore. I never know what to believe. All right. Well, did you guys hear that a big, gigantic dam got blown up in Ukraine? So let's watch some footage because it's gnarly. It's a lot of water. If a dam, actually, you guys remember back in, I think it was 2017, California had a really bad winter of rain, and the Oroville Dam almost went. The spillway got really bad, and they had to evacuate the town of Oroville. I think this dam that broke is actually bigger than the Oroville Dam, and I believe the Oroville Dam was the biggest reservoir in the country. This reservoir, this dam that they blew up, is gigantic. The thing is, it looks like the water level on the other side of the dam wall is relatively close to the height of the water level of the actual reservoir. So I don't think there was like a big giant wall of water that went rushing downstream and took out everything. But I don't know. Let's got this footage. So this is just like some time-lapse footage of the actual dam break. Yeah, this is the time-lapse. I'll start it over. Look at that. That's crazy. Man, the whole like peninsula there is just gone. So that sucks. All these houses. Well, it looks like it didn't get these houses. That's nice. It will, though. Oh, man, look at all these houses. Oh, crap. That's so obviously Ukraine's blaming Russia, and there is a nuclear reactor that is in danger of meltdown now, much like Fukushima, because of this situation. And the nuclear reactor is under Russia's control. And apparently, even though this dam wall breaking and this reservoir going, everywhere, it's bad for Ukraine, but apparently it's worse for Russia, from my understanding. There's some more footage. Yeah, let's go to this Roz Alerts footage because this footage is pretty crazy. Let's see. Terry Wallace, what do you mean I'm on fire tonight? Is that a compliment or an insult? I can't tell. Let's see. Raws alerts. Yeah, look at this. This shit's crazy. If you guys don't follow Raws alerts on Twitter, you should. They always have the breaking story, it seems. Yeah, look at this, man. This is crazy. So it does look like the water level was substantially lower than the actual reservoir water level. So this, like, you know, that was the height here. So it's probably 30 feet lower. So there was probably a massive, 30 to 50 foot wall of water that went rushing downstream. Man, this thing's just going to empty out. I was seeing other footage. They're still shelling it. From what I can tell, it looks like whoever, whether it's Ukraine or Russia, even though they look suspiciously like those Patriot missile explosions. Oh man, look at this. That is a lot of water, folks. This is not good. And this is a hydroelectric dam too. So, that however much power that dam supplied, just the water's gone, the power's gone, and the nuclear power plant risk of melting down. So this is, 3 major catastrophes in one, essentially. I'll show you some footage of the actual impact, the actual shelling of the dam wall that took the thing out, because the footage is pretty crazy of this. It's like a massive, got hit with a massive missile or something. Got a full screen. So look at this, guys. This shit's crazy. So, boom. Damn. Was that a dude standing right there? Oh, man, I think that might have been a dude standing there. Look at that. Can you imagine seeing this in person? I mean, this is one of those electrical towers, Can you imagine? Look how huge this explosion is. Imagine seeing something like this here. We're so freaking ignorant to crap that goes on in the world. Like, the level of insanity. That explosion was huge. Oh my God. See if you can see the wall of water afterwards. Like, I can't see any additional water breaching the wall right there yet. Can you guys see it? So look at the water. Man. Well, all right. Well, that's the actual impact. And let's go over to Aaron Matei and see what he has to say about this. Because Aaron Matei is good. Call him a Putin puppet. They call Aaron Matei a right-wing conspiracy theorist, even though he's basically a progressive. You don't know Aaron Matei? He's on Jimmy Dore a lot. He is a writer over at the Gray Zone. Does a lot of really good work. Okay, so Zelensky is blaming Russian terrorists for the destruction of the Nova Kakhovka dam. Nova Kakhovka? Is that how you say it, Russian friends? Yet in U.S.-involved war games last year, the Ukrainian military tested a scenario in which Ukraine bombed the dam to stop Russian crossings. The test was successful. And this is the article. The Kavalakh considered flooding the river. The Ukrainians, he said, even conducted a test strike with HIMARS launcher on one of the floodgates at the Nova Kakhovka Dam, making 3 holes in the metal to see if the Dnieper's water could be raised enough to stymie Russian crossings but not flood nearby villages. Okay, so that is a little different. That okay, I'm glad I read that because it's not exactly the same thing, Aaron. They did a test. They weren't trying to destroy the dam, though. They were trying to raise the water level enough so they couldn't pass. That would be a pretty precise thing, to raise the water level just enough to where it gets to the top of the levee wall so you can't drive over it, but it doesn't go. Come on, really? Okay. That would take some serious mathing to do that. Yeah, I don't think you could do that with ballistic strikes. So I'm going to call BS on that one. But that's okay. Oh, I just figured out how to do something on accident that I've been trying to figure out how to do for months, and I just figured it out right now. And I hope I don't forget because I was live on a show when I figured it out. I won't even discuss what it is because it's so stupid. All right, so yeah, damn, Ukraine blew up. Risk of nuclear meltdown. Ukraine saying Russia did it. Russia saying Ukraine did it. Apparently, the water supply is much more important to Russia, and the nuclear power plant that's about to melt down is under control of Russia. So there's that. All right, let's talk about RFK because RFK is impressing me. I don't know where you guys, I know a lot of you guys are MAGA fans. Sorry, you guys are big Trump supporters, and I get it. I'm with it. He's a hilarious dude. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm sorry. I kind of am. Like, I like him. I think he's hilarious. I'm not down with what he did with the vaccines. I'm not down with how he won't get off the vaccines. I'm not down that he didn't pardon Julian Assange. I'm not down that he didn't pardon Edward Snowden. I'm not down that he didn't go after people he should have went after. All sorts of things that I'm not down with the ongoing war in Yemen that we supported. I all sorts of things that I'm not down with. I'm also not down with the DNC. I'm also not down with the climate change agenda. And RFK put a lot of my concerns to rest with his most recent Twitter spaces that he did. So let's get into a little bit of it. Let's listen to RFK talk about Ukraine. I haven't heard any other politicians, including Trump, touch upon this many really important issues and give a clear and concise stance on exactly where he stands and what he plans to do regarding these issues if he's put into office. I haven't heard anybody from either side of the aisle be this clear and concise about this many issues as RFK has in like a one-day period. In a single Twitter Spaces, he answered more questions than any politician has answered in the last year. So I am thoroughly impressed with RFK. And I hate that there's so many people that can't get past his voice. It's almost tragic. All right, let's go over to Posa. Let's go to Jack Posobiec over on Twitter. Many of you guys know him. If you're not a fan of the MyPillow, you should buy one. Use promo code POSO. Alrighty, let's listen to RFK talk about Ukraine.
I want to talk about the war in Ukraine. And we need to have a national conversation about this war. We need to have a mature conversation that allows for nuance and that allows for complexity. And we need to do it respectfully. We can't be telling one side that they're Nazis and the other side that they love Putin. Everybody in this country loves our country. And we have to respect differences of opinion, and we have to respect the people's capacity to ask questions. And some of the issues that we need to talk about is, number one, is this war in the U.S. national interest? We just need to isolate that question. Is it in the U.S. national interest? And there are some of the leading pangerums of most respected people of our national diplomats, let's say Henry Kissinger, Jack Matlock, Larry Wilkinson, who's Colin Powell's chief of staff. They all have said definitively, if you just want to ask, is it in our national interest? It is not. It is not in America's national interest to push Russia closer to China. That is a cataclysm. Number two, it's not in our national interest to do something that could involve us in a nuclear exchange with a country that has more nuclear weapons than us.
Now put Biden and Kamala, or Kamala, whatever the F, into your head. Think about them being this clear and concise about anything. You can't.
Now, having said that, I want to say that we are in the Ukraine for all the right reasons. We are there because we are a good people. And, Abraham Lincoln said, America is a great nation because we're a good nation. And we continue to be a good people. And we are there because of our compassion, the Ukrainian people who have been brutalized, who've been illegally invaded, and have shown extraordinary valor and courage defending their country and defending, their families and their beliefs and their liberties and their independence, things that Americans have to admire. My own son, Connor, I'm very, very proud that Connor joined the Foreign Legion and fought in the Ukraine and during the Kharkiv offensive as a machine gunner for a special forces group. But I think that we need to know as Americans, and we have a right to know, what is our government's chief objective in this war? Now,
And there it is. So you can be on either side of this thing. You could say Russia is fully justified in their actions. You could say Russia is evil and they have no moral standing to do what they did. You could be on either side of that and agree with what he said right there. You can sympathize with Ukrainians. You can sympathize with the people that are valiantly fighting. Any soldier on any side that is going and fighting to the death, you have to have respect for those men on either side. And the Ukrainian people are defending their homes, their territory. And that's nothing short of admirable. It's heroic. But what are we doing there? What is our objective? And if we pulled out our support, would Ukraine be able to fight off the Russians? If we continue our support, will it ultimately end in the same result? So what he says is very important there. What is our objective? Because it seems to me that our objective in Ukraine is not to win or lose this war. It's to prolong the war. That's it. Because that's the only way we can prop up our economy is to export war. It's to print a bunch of money to send to Ukraine so they can buy weapons from American weapons manufacturers, propping up our GDP. That's all I can see. So I'm very curious to see what he says next.
we were told initially that the objective was humanitarian. And that is a good reason to be there, a humanitarian. And what that means is trying to end the bloodshed and minimize it as much as possible. But in recent times, President Biden said that one of our objectives, at least, is regime change of Vladimir Putin. And this is the same strategy that did not work well for us in Iraq And it's many of the same people who are around the neocons, who are around President Biden, who have been talking about that for a long time and have been engaged in geopolitical machinations in the Ukraine since 2014. And then President Biden's Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, validated President Biden's statement by saying that our objective in the Ukraine is to exhaust and degrade the Russian army so they're incapable of having battles anywhere else in the world.
Meanwhile, China's sitting back and they're watching us deplete our munitions, deplete. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're sending our B stock over there. I don't know if we're sending the shit that we don't need. But I mean, China's sitting back and they're not spending any money. They're not sending any weapons anywhere. They're not wasting any energy or materials on this war. Meanwhile, their two biggest competitors, Russia and America, are going ham wild, throwing everything they have at this war. And meanwhile, the dollar's being replaced by the BRICS nations. Like, China's playing this very, very smart.
Now, and indeed, many of the steps that we've taken in the Ukraine have seemed to indicate that our interest is in prolonging the war rather than shortening it. So if those are our objectives, to have regime change,
Called it.
and exhaust the Russians, that is completely antithetical to a humanitarian mission. If we're there for a humanitarian mission, it means to reduce bloodshed and bring an end to the war quickly. If we're there to exhaust the Russians or regime change, then doesn't it mean that the Ukraine is just a pawn in a geopolitical battle between two great superpowers, and that our strategy is to put the flower of Ukrainian youth into an abattoir of death in order to exhaust Russia? And if that's true, then we need to know about it. If it's not true, then we need a pretty good discussion with the president and the Secretary of Defense and others to tell us exactly what are we doing there. And
so I hadn't watched that video before this stream tonight, and he continues to impress me with everything he says, literally everything he says. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that think that he's this climate freak, like this global warming, climate change freak. But in his Twitter spaces, he addressed this stuff, and he very clearly said that there's a lot of sensationalism around the whole global warming climate crisis thing, but he said at the same time that he's an environmentalist. And that's exactly what I am. I think this global warming crap, the climate change crap, is an agenda. At the same time, I live in a magical redwood forest with beautiful watersheds, with some of the creeks, crystal clear water, and I hate it. I'm a pack it in, pack it out guy. I'm a trail runner. I leave no trace. All that stuff. There's a spot at Henry Cowell Park that I go once a year. I'll hike in there with a couple of trash bags and hike out because there's this party spot that people like to go and they leave all their beer bottles and crap. I hate it when I see people polluting the environment. So I'm right in line with him there, that I'm a free markets guy. I want the market to dictate things, supply, demand, all that kind of crap. If there's a demand for stuff to improve anyway, sorry. I'm sort of going off on a tangent there, but he addressed the climate change crap. He addressed the abortion stuff. I'll play some of it, but And now he's addressed the Ukraine stuff. He's obviously addressed the vaccine stuff. I mean, as of right now, the biggest issue to me is totalitarianism. Dream Dancer, what's going on? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're with me on this climate change stuff. But yeah, I am an environmental nerd. One of the things that pissed me off the most about all this COVID crap was all the freaking masks that I was finding in the creeks, in the watersheds, in the tributaries, in bushes, just smashed into the mud, into the dirt, because for some dumb reason, people thought it would be a good idea to go hiking with a mask on. And there's still people freaking doing it around here, and it drives me crazy. And it takes every ounce of my being to stop, to not stop when I'm on a run and I come across somebody wearing a mask outside. Still, till this day, still happening. And it takes every ounce of me not to stop and say, why? Why? It drives me absolutely crazy. I cannot stand it when I see people out in public, especially on the trails, wearing masks still. And we have steelhead trout here. I'm big on the environment. So yeah, RFK is an old school classic liberal, and they've been long extinct in the Democratic Party. So my biggest hang up is if he somehow gets the Democrat nomination, how can I possibly vote for somebody representing the DNC? I'm not going to vote. As of right now, I'm not participating in the system anymore. My flag is black, but I'm not saying that can't change. The flag is going to stay black, but doesn't mean I necessarily won't participate in the system. But how am I supposed to vote for somebody that's representing the DNC? I mean, after what they did to Bernie, after Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary, obviously, everybody else in the DNC, Seth Rich, WikiLeaks, John Podesta, and then after what they did to Tulsi, how can I vote for somebody that represents the DNC? I mean, I know it's probably his only chance of getting in the race, but I don't know. I think we could end up with a Ross Perot type situation this year or this election. I don't see him winning a Democratic nomination in some sort of primary. I don't see it happening. I don't see them they won't allow that to happen. But if he does take it really far in the DNC, gain a bunch of traction, a bunch of momentum, popularity, and then he says, all right, I'm out. And instead of throwing his support to whoever the Democratic nominee is, Biden or whoever else, he says, all right, I'm out, and I'm pulling a Ron Paul. No, Ron Paul didn't do that. I'm pulling a Ross Perot, and I'm going independent. We would have a Ross Perot type situation. And I think this time it would help the right more than it would help the left. That's how we got Bill Clinton. That's how Bush didn't get his second term, right? It was basically because of Ross Perot. But Ross Perot is dope too. Ross Perot is a badass. My dad liked Ross Perot. He's so funny. Yeah. So I see RFK going independent, and he is a problem for the Dems. And if he somehow makes it to the final debate stage and goes up against Trump, he's a problem for Trump too. I know a lot of people saying, oh, Trump's going to rip him to shreds because of his voice. If Trump tries to clown on RFK about his voice, especially after RFK is so clear and concise about his positions on things, and Trump doesn't come back with, well, my position on this is this, and instead makes fun of his voice, that's going to hurt him. Like, yeah, Trump clowning on people has always helped him. The game has changed a little bit. And I think RFK is a major problem for Trump if they go head to head. I personally do. I know a lot of you guys don't agree with me, but I think RFK is a major problem for Trump. RFK is a problem for everybody right now, and he is impressive. All right, let's go over to the Redhead Libertarian on Twitter and listen to some of those Twitter spaces that he was in, because I listened to this whole thing, and it was conducted by Elon Musk, who is so weird. Elon is so freaking awkward. Thank God David Sachs was there. This Twitter space has got a little awkward, but I'll play this a little 4-minute clip. Maybe I'll play the whole thing. I don't know if I have time.
On the gun controls, I'm not going to take away anybody's guns. I'm a constitutional absolutist, and
so that was the other thing. So very big on gun control. And sure, yeah, he's a politician. Do we believe what politicians say? I don't know. This is what he's saying. He's flat out, I'm not going to take away anybody's guns. But we've heard that before, haven't we?
We can argue about whether the Second Amendment was intended to protect guns, but that argument is now been settled by the Supreme Court, and it has the Supreme Court, the Antonin Scalia's decision is a very expansive interpretation of the right to own a gun. But more importantly, anybody who tells you that with incremental changes or incremental laws in regulating guns. And by the way, I want to say this, I have 2 members of my family that were killed in gun violence. So, I understand the heart.
If you guys haven't figured out who those family members are yet, he's talking about JFK and his dad, Robert F. Kennedy, who were both assassinated.
That this is causing to so many Americans. It's touched my family directly. And I know as president that you are going to expect me, and I'm going to do everything I can to reduce gun violence in this country. I think one of the tools that has been taken out of my hands is taking away people's guns. I don't think it's the right thing right now because it will just polarize our country. I've lived in rural areas of this country. I know how integrated gun culture is in those areas and how important it is to them in the way they view the Constitution. I also know we're living in a time when the Constitution has been under attack, all the other amendments in an unprecedented way, and how that would be seen by people who believe strongly in the Second Amendment as part of a systematic assault on our Bill of Rights. And I don't want to get into that debate. I want to stop the school shootings.
Northside 707. I hope you're right, but I see him being a Bernie. He loses to whoever the main Dem is, and then claims Trump is so evil. We all need to support the Dems. Well, that's the question, right? So yeah, the DNC is going to railroad him for sure. You know that's going to happen. I don't see them allowing any possible way for him to actually get the Democratic nomination. So the question is then, what does he do? Does he go independent, like everybody wanted Bernie to do back in 2015 or 16 or whatever it was? Remember, you remember, right, when they railroaded Bernie, then the emails came out. This is a big deal. I mean, this was huge. And there was that time period in between the Democratic National Convention and when the emails came out, and Seth Rich died or was murdered in that time period. And it was like, look at all these emails coming out about how they're trying to make Bernie look like an anti-Semite. Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all the other DNC people were colluding to make Bernie look like, how can we make Bernie look like an anti-Semite, and how can we hand this nomination to Hillary? They colluded behind the scenes to do that. And all that information came out before the Democratic National Committee or Convention. And everybody expected Bernie and all the supporters to give him the big FU. And the supporters were there. Alex Jones was there. The Young Turks were there. Milo was there. It was a big old thing. And everybody expected Bernie to come out and give the big double barrel. And what does he do? He comes out and bends the knee. And it was the most disappointing thing I had ever personally seen in politics up until that point. I was a Bernie bro. And it was so disappointing. So yeah, that's the question. Northside 707. What, you up in Napa? You got a Santa Rosa guy? That's the question. What does RFK do when that happens? Not if, when, because you know that's what's going to happen. They're going to force him to go either independent or get railroaded and throw his support to whoever they choose the Democrat nominee to be.
And if it comes down to protecting the schools the way that we protect airlines, I will do that. I do not want any more children dying in our schools.
Get out of Berkeley, bro. Get out of Berkeley.
I also I'm going to look very closely at the role of psychiatric drugs in these events. And there are no good studies right now that should have been done years ago on this issue, because there's a tremendous circumstantial evidence that those like SSRIs and benzos.
So that's a huge thing too. Have you heard any other politician even bring that up? The correlation with benzos, SSRIs, and the increase in mass shootings. Like, nobody even brings that up. It's either freaking arm everyone or take away everybody's guns. There's no conversation about, hey, why are they doing this in the first place? So, I don't know. When you got somebody that's brave enough to piss off the left and piss off the right and say, these are my views, these are my stances, these are my positions, and this is why, you got a very strong candidate. And RFK is impressing a lot of people.
And other drugs are doing this. There's something happening in our country right now that is not happening anywhere else in the world and has never happened in human history. And you have to look at.
All right, you get where he's at. I gotta cut this one short because he's I got so much more to get into. I don't think I have time. I don't think I have time for that anymore. So gotta end that one. And let's see. Yeah, let's go to a quick, this is just like a meme, but it's a quote from RFK, and it very clearly states another position that he holds. And again, how many politicians do you see clearly stating their positions on so many different, really important issues? He's so clear and concise and right to the point. It's not racist or insensitive to say that we need to close our borders and have an orderly immigration policy. Like, it's not rocket science, and he's not saying something to be highly controversial. This dude is extremely diplomatic, and he has the patience of a saint. Like this, he gets attacked so often. And you guys know, anytime somebody attacks you or comes at you sideways, you immediately just want to go off on them and rip them apart. RFK never does that. He always really focuses on what they say, breaks it down, and responds to each aspect of what they said in a very clear and concise way. So, yeah, he continues to impress me. So he's got a very clear stance on immigration. He's got a very clear stance on gun control. He's got a very clear stance on the Russia-Ukraine war. He has a very clear stance on the environment. How many other politicians can you say that about? All those huge things I just mentioned. He's got a very clear stance on abortion as well. And yeah. And this is the most impressive thing I've seen so far. And I'm going to have to play this video and go take a pee break. Let's see. Yeah, so dude straight up just goes to the border. He just, okay, I'm a presidential candidate. I'm a freaking Kennedy. I'm just going to head to the border and go be around just normal people with no security. Like, this dude's a badass, man. So here, check him out at the border.
Hey, everybody, I'm at the border wall around Yuma, Arizona. It's about 2:00 in the morning. We've watched about 150 people come across. You can see the end of the wall down there. And we've watched about 150 people come across in the last hour. The first group were about 50 or 60 people from Africa, from West Africa. This group that is filing behind me right now, we interviewed many of them. They're from Peru, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, China, Tibet, Nepal, And altogether, people have come across right here from 117 nations in the last couple of years. In 3 years, in total, 7 million people have come across the border illegally into our country. And from here, they're put on these buses and they're brought to the Border Patrol station where they're processed. After 4 or 5 days, they're released on their own reconnaissance into our country, and most of them are never seen or heard from again. And the stories that we heard from these people are absolutely heartbreaking. This is a humanitarian crisis because of the understanding across the globe that we now have an open border here.
There's not a single other Democrat talking about this. There's not a single other Democrat talking about the humanitarian crisis aspect of this. It's not just that we're bringing a bunch of people into our country that are essentially going to be homeless. Like we already have a huge homeless problem. We're just essentially, here's a bunch more homeless people. And they're going to get more rights than our current homeless people, getting put up in hotels, all this stuff. But aside from that, we're not even talking about the human trafficking aspect of this. Gavin Newsom wants to call freaking DeSantis a human trafficker because he sent a bunch of illegal immigrants to California unannounced. Well, the human trafficking thing, the real human trafficking thing, is the horrific stories that happen to these girls, young girls and women, on their way here in these migrant caravans. They have rape trees. They set up little encampments. These girls don't have anyone to protect them. These little boys don't have anyone to protect them. What we are encouraging and being complicit in is the same thing that Instagram is encouraging and being complicit in. And it almost makes you wonder, is it on purpose?
Here, there are people being drawn here. They're being abused. There's all kinds of just horrific, terrible, terrible stories. And this is not a good thing for our country. It's not a good thing for these people. And it is unsustainable. Hey, everybody, I'm at the...
So I think the most important standout thing for me regarding RFK is the same thing that was an important standout thing for me back in 2015 when I liked Bernie. It was the same important standout thing even today when I listen to Tulsi talk. They, not Bernie anymore, but what I thought Bernie was a genuinely good dude with empathy and compassion that cared about other people. At the same time, has the balls to say the difficult things and make difficult decisions. He's the most rational guy I see right now out of anybody in politics. Other than maybe like, what's his name? The MIT guy, congressman, not Matt Gaetz. Like on his name. Who's the MIT guy? Dream Dancer. Dream Dancer saw a creative person at the Santa Cruz Civic in the mid-90s? Huh? Oh, what? What was he doing? I felt his energy. He is grounded and on the correct side of the issues. Yeah, I agree. But what was he doing? What was he there? I thought he was he like a drug addict back in the 90s? Like, I know things got bad for him for a while there, but yeah, that's curious. Santa Cruz Civic's a great place to see a show. I saw Primus there back in the day. Alrighty. Okay, that's enough with the RFK stuff. I have a bit more to get into. But yeah, RFK seems like a genuinely good dude that he's not like a I'm right, you're wrong, my way or the highway kind of guy. He's like all right, well, maybe I'm missing something. Let's have this open conversation about it. And then he'll listen to the other side. Like, I don't know. I really like this dude. And I really hate the Democratic Party. So I'm very conflicted here. Very, very conflicted. Do I want to talk about that next? Yeah, might as well. It's a quick story. That's not that important, but I'll talk about it anyway. Might as well, because it is information that we should be aware of. So just barely a year after the new CNN CEO, Chris Licht, took over, he's out already. He's already out as the new CEO. So let's see what CNN has to say about it.
We have news now to report involving our own network. News to us here at CNN and you at home. CNN's chairman and CEO, Chris Licht, is leaving the network. Licht took over the network a little over a year ago. David Zaslav, the chairman of CNN's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, he just made the announcement at the network editorial meeting. For now, a leadership team will take Licht's place, led by Amy Entelis, who's the executive vice president of talent and content development, along with Virginia Mosley, the EVP of editorial, Eric Sherling, our programming EVP, and David Levy, our new chief operating officer. Sarah?
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, so he's out. So I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if this has anything to do with ESG scores. I wonder if this has anything to do with diversity, equity, inclusion, and the BlackRock CEO, Vanguard, all that crap. Very curious. I wonder, because it does seem like CNN was trying to appear as if they're going to be more moderate or try to be more in the middle now. I don't know. Right? So this seems like a very out of the blue move that, I don't know. It's very curious. Just very curious. I wonder why. So that happened. I don't want to spend too much time on that. New CEO over at CNN. All right. You guys, you folks down in SoCal, and Glendale and Pasadena just feels like it should be the OC to me, because it's just people in Glendale and Pasadena seem more Orange County-like than they do Los Angeles County. I worked in Pasadena for a couple of years. I love Pasadena. It is beautiful out there. But you guys saw there was a bit of a hubbub at a school. There was some upset parents regarding some sort of assembly, I think regarding a freaking like a drag show type thing at a school event. So the thing about Glendale is there's a very large Armenian community in Glendale. The Armenians don't play. Do not play with the Armenians. So I was a bouncer at a strip club in Southern California, and my girlfriend at the time was a bartender at a separate strip club called the Venetian in Anaheim. Let's just say you don't play around in the Venetian. You don't play around in the Venetian because Armenians don't play. They won't find the body. So when Antifa went to Glendale trying to intimidate Armenian parents, they had another thing coming. So there's this footage that came out. Californians are fed up, folks. And you guys that aren't Californians, you're like, should have voted differently, this and that. I don't think that's it. I really don't think it's it. Hey, Raj over at YouTube, Raja Mohan, you said we could talk about election fraud in the 2020 election. Well, I think there was election fraud in the 2020 election, and I think there's going to be I think there was election fraud in the 2022 election. I think there was election fraud in the recall of Governor Newsom. Everyone gets a mail-in ballot. Everyone gets sent a ballot in California. Just keep that in mind. So when you say, I should have voted differently, this and that, remember, everyone gets a ballot in California. This shit is rigged. Anyway, Armenians. It's so funny watching people that don't know how to fight or try to fight. All right, you've seen enough. So, multiple law enforcement are on the scene as a large crowd gathers outside of Glendale School District in Glendale, California, over the students' right to choose their pronouns in a school, as several fights have broken out and turned violent between protests and counter demonstrators. Officers have ordered protesters to disperse. Multiple people have been arrested. Hey, Roz alerts. Can you start using periods, semicolons, and like there's no periods in this entire thing except for right here between counter and protester. That's the only punctuation that you decided to put in there, or counter demonstrators. Like why that single piece of punctuation and no other punctuation in the entire tweet? That bothers me. That bothers my autism. All right, enough of that. We got some other videos about this to show you guys, but that turned into that made the news. Actually, it's all that put it. Man, I got bit by a mosquito, guys. It's itchy. Man, I opened my window and I shouldn't have because I don't have a screen on that window. Yeah, so that was basically it. People in California are fighting back. They're tired of the crap. They are tired of it, folks. All right, enough about the Glendale thing. Oh man, yeah. Did you guys hear about this preacher in Pennsylvania that got arrested at a gay pride event? I'm sorry, a pride event. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, and like it was called the Gay Pride Parade. It was a single event, and it was a one-day parade, and then it turned into a weekend, and then it turned into like a whole week long, and now it's Pride Month. It's not Gay Pride, it's Pride, because there's all the other letters and numbers and symbols in it now. It used to be the Gay Pride Parade. That's how this all started. A single parade in the Castro district of San Francisco. Now it's an entire month long, and they are the most celebrated group on earth. And the OG gays aren't too stoked about it either. The OG gays don't want to be lumped in with all the other letters and numbers and symbols. It's just funny. And the L's and the G's don't get along. And the B's, nobody even likes the B's. Nobody even considers them part of the group, but they're in there anyway. And, well, the T's and the L's don't get along so well either. Who has a bit on this? Somebody has a bit on this. I think it might be Chappelle has a bit about this. I might have to go watch this after. All right, let's look at this preacher that got arrested for talking in Pennsylvania. This isn't Canada. This is Pennsylvania. Where is it? Off Grid. Let's go over to Off Grid Survival on Twitter. I got bit by a mosquito, guys, and it's really itchy. So check this out. Actually, no, that's not the one I wanted to show you. I'm going to close that. I wanted to show you. Let's go to douchebag on Twitter. That is a better video of this. Sorry, folks. Stand by. All right, let's go over to douchebag on Twitter. So this happened.
God, this is public property with respect. Oh, I'm respecting it. That's another event. You know who's cheering for us? The people that are in hell. So you do you, and I'm going to do me. This is public property.
So whether you agree with what he said right there, it doesn't matter. They're words. These are words. And remember, the people that you disagree with the most are the people you're supposed to defend their right to speak.
You. God is not. That's God, this will be right.
So now you see beta male, out of shape, soggy ass cop get pissed off because some dude didn't do what he said, and now he wants to throw his authority around, and he's arresting the man for words. He did nothing else. Let's go back. Let's go back and watch. Is there anything threatening that he did in terms of like the way he motioned his body? Anything? What did he do to deserve getting arrested?
Hell. So you do you, and I'm going to do me. This is public property. You. God is not. That's it. Got this one.
Getting this on film.
Can I give him my bag? All stuff's in. Joe, I'm going to need you to go to 128.
So won't even let him hand the backpack off. And then look at these two little assholes here. Like these. I put out a poll earlier today saying, should women be able to be patrol officers or in combat? And the reason I put that out is because it was a video of a woman officer that went to a domestic disturbance case. And the guy that she went there to pat down, once she got his hands behind his back to pat him down, she started patting down his pockets, and he didn't like that. And he beat the shit out of her and took her gun. If your average man, just your average man, can beat the shit out of you and take your gun, you shouldn't be a cop. I'd be willing to bet that if any of these three cops, so this guy right here, this guy that they're arresting, towering over this cop, I'm probably 6 inches taller than this guy. And I've been training martial arts almost my whole life. And not bullshit taekwondo or freaking karate or some crap like that. Shit that actually works. If any one of these cops, if this man decided to resist, he'd probably be able to resist all three of them. Take this guy out of the equation, he would be able to take both of these officers' firearms. These are the bullies. Weak men create hard times. Our world is currently being run by weak men.
And they're clapping. Brothers, man.
I cannot believe I'm.
And then all the assholes. So Democrats, liberals over on the other side of the street, they should all be. Chiba. Sorry, my dogs are driving me crazy right now. I think it's time to play. Scarlet, go. Go. The people are cheering that he's getting arrested for words. Listen to them.
I cannot believe I'm watching this.
And they're clapping. Brothers, man. 128.
You know, there's some people in that crowd. There's a handful of people in that crowd that are like, wait a minute, they're arresting him? They shouldn't be arresting him. You know there's people in that crowd thinking that. Will they stand up? No. Because they don't want to be ostracized and called. It's worked so brilliantly, this Marxist technique of self-censorship, where those people on the other side know that this man shouldn't be getting arrested. All the people that weren't clapping, they know that this is wrong. Will they stand up and say something? No, because they don't want to be kicked out of the club. They don't want to be ostracized by their tribe. So they're just going to go along with the program, like every Marxist civilization that's ever happened.
And they're clapping. Brothers, man.
Like this dude right here.
I cannot believe I'm watching.
Like the dude on the other side of the street actually looked concerned. Like he was thinking about it. Like he was thinking, like, wait a minute, this ain't right. They shouldn't be arresting him. This could have been like a healing moment for society if the people on the side of the Pride Parade were like, wait, no, let him go. If they stuck up for this guy, and I bet if they did that, he would stop saying, like, you're going to burn in hell and that kind of crap. And it might open up some dialogue. Instead, nope, escalation.
Watching this.
My name is Enrique Castro. I'm the executive director of the Pride Celebration. And it is my
God bless you, brother.
to wish you all a happy Pride Month.
Pride Month. The most oppressed group in our country. They get a whole month. How many days does Martin Luther King get? So, people are getting arrested for protesting now, but only on one side of the aisle. This cop seemed like he had an axe to grind too. I don't know what to say about that. It's just so infuriating. Oh man, so much other stuff I didn't get to tonight. Like stuff I wanted to talk to you guys about. Like, did you guys see the footage of the St. Louis cop that ran over the dude? It was gnarly. Dude deserved it. He was shooting at the cops. Then, who is it? The owner of the Hilton downtown San Francisco is just, nope, we're going to stop paying our rent. We're going to stop paying our lease. You guys can have it. You guys can have the building. They're just bouncing. They're just done. They're just done with it. Here, this is what I'll end with. I'll end with freaking, actually, no, I don't want to end with that either. I'll end with AOC. All right. Yeah. Let's end with something funny at least, because this is just, I can't stand AOC. But you know what I can't stand more than AOC? And I didn't know it until recently, was I can't stand her boyfriend. This is like the most beta male dude I've ever seen in my life. And I'm from the Bay Area and I live in Santa Cruz. I see lots of beta males every day. And I don't even like that term. I'm not trying to say like I'm an alpha male or anything like that. I'm not no Andrew Tate type person. But this is like a whole other level of cuckery. I know that's not the right word to use to describe here, but this dude is like the embodiment of a cuck. So here's AOC's boyfriend. Let's listen to this wonderful individual talk.
So, Riley, what has been helpful to you in combating racism?
I think it's helpful and important to talk to other white people about racism.
So why do you guys do that with your voice? That's not natural. You're doing that on purpose. This thing that you do where you emphasize syllables in a certain way why do you do that? I can't freaking stand it. It makes me want to open hand slap a man. Like not a punch, because you don't deserve a punch. When you talk like that, you deserve an open hand slap, not a backhand, an open hand slap. Not like the power ones where you're trying to knock them out. A good crisp slap that makes their head move enough and then look right back at you, make eye contact, and realize that man just slapped me. And I'm not going to do a thing about it. That's what this type of voice deserves right here. I'm sorry. It's so triggering to me.
And I think a lot of people, they don't want to be racist. They don't think that they're racist, but they also don't know some of the things that they believe or say are and can be racist. And I think one of the effective ways is just to talk and kind of help teach them about why some of the things they believe or say or think are wrong, not necessarily racist, but that they're wrong. And that'll sort of chip away. And
imagine this asshole coming up to you and saying, it's not that you're racist. It's just that the things you believe are wrong. And let me explain to you why they're wrong. And let's chip away at your wrongness. But let's start with your whiteness.
Contribute to some development in this area, but not necessarily take somebody from being a racist to not being a racist in one conversation.
And it's just always being open to learning about racist things that we may have said or done.
And it's like always being open to letting another guy bang me in front of you. That's the vibe I got from this whole thing. He likes to watch other guys bang her as he sits in the corner in that weird chair that you always see in the hotel room that sits at the foot of the bed and it's sort of out of place. Yeah, he sits in that chair. That's the cuck chair. Okay, that's it. That's all I got for you guys tonight. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to get to. Didn't have time, but we did cover some important topics. Sorry. I will be back here on Friday for another episode of CaliBased, but I am going to be dropping it down to 2 shows once I start working. I almost had work on Monday. I was so close. I'm a union sound and communications guy for the IBEW, and the way the union works is you're on a calls list. It's a list, and when people take jobs calls that are lower on the list than you, you get moved up on the list. Well, I was really far down on the list, and now I'm 21 on the list. There was 2 jobs calls on Monday. 19 and 20 took the jobs calls. Yeah. So I'm hoping I will have one very soon, but I don't have work, and I will be dropping down to 2 shows once I start working again. But if you've made it this far, things are getting kind of bad, guys. I might get evicted. So if you guys do want to help, it would be super helpful. There's a link to my Give, Send, Go in my Twitter bio. You can go to my link tree if you would be so inclined. But the best way to help me out is to simply share this show with a friend. Like it, share it on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Tell somebody about it. That is the best possible way you can help this show grow. But only do it if you actually enjoy the show and you think that I have something of value to bring to the table. Yeah, that's about all I got for tonight. I do really hope you guys know how much I appreciate you, especially you guys that are regulars. Hallucinate, freaking Terry Wallace, Dream Dancer, Pete Grabber, Wally World, Lonnie. I mean, you guys don't know it, but I mean, I think about you guys. I talk about you guys to my friends. It's like, it's really cool that you show up at every episode and talk to me in the chat. And like, I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. And I'm glad you guys are like my first fans. So we'll see how far we can take this thing. But you know how we do it, folks. Let's end the night with a joke from the best book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. And I'm going to open to a random joke, quickly scan it, and I will read it. And hopefully it's a good one. It's pretty good. All right. You guys ready for the Chuck Norris joke to end the evening? All right. Here we go. Chuck Norris owns and operates his own restaurant in Lubbock, Texas. Knuckle sandwiches are the only thing on the menu. And on that note, folks, stay Cali-based.